G'day, obsessors. This is Sarge here, and today we're going to be talking about driver etiquette, road rules. How many of you guys have been on the road and seen some bad driving out there? I don't know if COVID's brought out any extra mad people on the road, but it's definitely been noticed. So I've brought into the studio with me today Cody. Cody, good to see you again, mate.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Oh God, that voice. And also Ziggy. Right.
Yes.
So quickly, you guys, all three of us, car enthusiasts, yeah?
Yep. Definitely.
All right.
100%.
Yep. So I've been driving, racing cars, doing all sorts of. I've worked with the Red Bull Holden racing team for a few years.
Don't brag.
Well, that was fitness side of things, but to be able to talk to the drivers there and those guys there, like not just the drivers are drivers, some of the mechanics and that are car enthusiasts and drivers as well, obviously. So, but from your own perspectives, and also the other thing is too, I'm mid 40s, you're mid 30s, and you're mid 20s. So we've got 3 decades worth of, experience, like of different generations, you could say.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Backgrounds.
So, and driving's definitely changed a lot. So we'll talk about a lot of that sort of stuff. But what's your background, Cody? Like, what's your driving experience?
Driving experience. Well, I'm 25.
Yep.
So I've been on my opens now, obviously, since when I could get on them.
Yep.
I went from driving an old crap shitter.
Yep.
To a now European.
Yep.
And love my Europeans.
Yes, you do.
Never got into the JDM scene or anything like that.
Well, you kind of do, because you also ride a motorcycle, right?
I do.
And that's a Kawasaki.
That's at yours.
And that's JDM.
Yeah, but that's getting taken away.
But still, it's a road. You're using it. It doesn't matter if you're driving a car, motorcycle, 4-wheel drive, this, that, whatever.
I'd still say I'm
You're
European.
still enthusiast.
I even know that the family hates that.
Yep.
Because they all ADM. My dad had the Valiant Charger. And
we're not here to talk about cars. But anyway, but for someone in the mid-20s, you've actually got quite a lot of experience driving. You're very much a car enthusiast, and that's kind of how we met.
Oh, drive trucks as well. So
yeah, that's right. Ziggy.
Yep.
You and I are a bit mortal enemies.
We are.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you own?
I own a HSV Grange.
Yes. And I own an FPV Ford Ute. So
no competition.
Yeah. Anyway, mate, and you're mid-30s. You've been driving for approximately 10 years longer than Cody, for instance.
Yep.
And what have you done it for a living, for instance?
No,
that's right. You're a stay-at-home dad.
Stay-at-home dad at the moment. You know that, mate. But
yes.
No, look, I was a spray painter when I was younger, so I was always interested in cars and bikes. I've never ridden bikes, but I always painted them.
Yep.
So I've always been around cars, quick cars. I've owned a few quick cars, but not what's out there today.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And
from my perspective, mid-40s, I've been driving. Not only, I didn't get my first car till I was 19. I was a late starter. So, but as soon as I got my first one, I was already modifying it straight away. New wheels, lowering it, exhaust systems, bigger carburetors. Do you guys know what carburetors are?
I know what a carburetor is.
Yeah. So anyway, but then within the military, I then was driving a lot. So driving big trucks and plant equipment and stuff like that. So and then about 10 years ago, I started. Whose phone's that? That's 10 push-ups. 10 push-ups, boss. All right. And then, about 10 years ago, I met a guy who raced his car on the track. And I was like, that sounds really cool. And so, yeah, I've been club level race car driving, raced in 24 Hours of Lemons and some other sort of forms of motorsport. So, and tracked my bike as well. So that's pretty cool. So I guess on that, what's your experience like on the road? Because we love driving, but I know I hate traffic. Traffic sucks.
For me,
yep.
Well, I just came from Chermside. It was meant to get here in half an hour. I cut that down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's a lot of people on the roads that don't care for anyone but themselves.
Yep. So selfish drivers,
and they're just oblivious. 100%.
So would you say their situational awareness doesn't go much past outside their own vehicle?
Doesn't go much past them friggin' eyes.
Yep. And Ziggy, what about yourself, mate? You're out there on the road quite a lot.
Yeah, I'm always got the kids in the car driving around, so I get to see it more than probably most people, I guess.
Would you say you're a bit safer driver when you got the kids in the car? Like, are you a bit more conscious of that?
Well, you have to be more conscious of everybody else.
True.
You got 2 kids in the car, so when they're in the car, stick to the speed limit, do the best you can. But it's pretty crazy out there.
Yeah. And what would you say is it more likely people who don't know or understand the road rules, for instance, Or is it just people that just don't care and just they know the road rules, but they just seem like they are just driving all over the place or just disrespecting other drivers? What would you say?
I think they're more just distracted.
Distracted?
Yeah, there's so much going on. They got their phone there, or radio, or GPS, or whatever else is.
$1,000 fine, right? Getting caught now.
4 points as well.
If you're on your phone, caught on your phone.
Just saw a P-plater.
Yep.
Leaving Chermside. She's looking down. It's so obvious. You look at them and they're just like eyes straight down.
And there's these new cameras now too. One I know up the Bruce Highway.
Yeah.
There's these cameras that literally look down through your windscreen to see if you're on your phone, right?
Even if it's on your lap, you're not touching it, nothing, you get done.
Wow. Crazy. So, well, I'll look from my perspective, I kind of break drivers down into two sort of groups. There's driving enthusiasts like us, and then there's commuters that use their vehicles to get from point A to point B. They're not really into the car scene. They don't care about what, they just get in a car and they drive. I'm not saying that commuters are bad drivers, and I'm not saying that car enthusiasts are good drivers. There's a lot of car enthusiasts that we've met and spend time with that are actually really crap drivers or very disrespectful. They think they're awesome, but then as soon as it gets wet or something like that, they lose control. And there's always, I can't tell you how many people we've known from the cafe that we go to quite a lot that they'll go, oh, we're going up to Mount Nebo or Mount Glorious to do
and then we hear about them being it.
Almost every single time, one less car comes back.
100%.
And that could be very dangerous for the other road users that are up there when.
And they just laugh it off too. They
think it's funny because they're driving $500 cars and they don't.
What do we think about bike riders, and should bicycles pay registration fees?
Yes, 100%.
Bicycles?
100%.
There needs to be some way of regulating it. There's some way of tracking bicycle. Like most push bike riders that I've seen are pretty decent. And when the bike riders are out there, and I ride a push bike on the road sometimes myself for fitness.
My dad does.
And it's usually in the mornings early and Saturday mornings in a big peloton. If they're in a big peloton and they're taking up a lane that's multi-lane, they're basically like one big vehicle.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's fine. You can move around them and everything like that. They're stopping at lights and all that. It's all these renegades that literally just fly through red lights. They're a vehicle. Why aren't they stopping at red lights the same as a car? Or when you've just spent, because you need to give these cyclists like a meter, 1.5 meter space, so you could get stuck behind a bicycle for a while. Then you finally get around them and then you pull up at a red light and they just cruise up past you, get in front of you again. And then when the light goes green, you're stuck behind them again. I mean, hello, you're on a vehicle on the road. Wait your turn, get back there. Unless there is an actual bicycle lane for them to use.
That's what I mean.
That's fine. If there's a bicycle lane, then that's okay.
Did you know they're building a bicycle lane through the
Nunda Tunnel? Yeah.
Of all places.
Oh, no, I read that this morning.
Really?
Come on.
Yes.
Yeah, man. No joke.
Yep, that's happening.
They're going to love it when I fly through with my loud exhaust.
So,
see Hoon.
Yes.
No, not a Hoon.
Well, and then there's Hoons too, right? There's hooning, there's all that sort of stuff. So, well, look, I've called this Keep Left with Sarge for, I've got a whole list of things that I would like to go through and some rules and drive etiquette that people might not even be aware of. So, for instance, my first and number one is Queensland's renowned for this. Queenslanders are so bad. Driving slow in the right lane or not keeping left when overtaking.
Frustration.
It's so frustrating, right? Keep left unless you're overtaking. How hard is it? And there's always someone driving in the right-hand lane.
Multiple.
And there's the multiple lane thing as well. So do you know what speed that driving in a multi-lane road you're supposed to keep left? There's an actual speed limit. Anything above that speed limit. Do you know what it is?
We're not talking about over 80 Ks.
It used to be over 80 Ks an hour.
I know that's for highway.
Yeah,
so
but it's any road that's multi-lane.
Sorry, guys, I'm just going to jump in. We've had Molly say, what about the noise pollution and revving? Far more disruptive than that of cyclists.
But that's not dangerous.
No.
So we're coming back to the cyclists. Sorry, guys.
That's all right. But that's not dangerous, Molly. So don't get me wrong. There's a time and a place to be loud and there's a time and a place to be appropriate.
Sometimes it's a bit hard. Like if you're looking at a supercar per se.
Yeah.
They're loud.
They're only loud when you rev them. Like if you take a Ferrari, if you just drive it nice and slowly, the sound actuated mufflers don't open and you can stay nice and quiet. Yeah, it's when you get into it. You can't drive a Ferrari under 5,000 RPM.
Sound actuated exhaust muffler, like my car.
And my car.
Is 3,000.
I can open and close mine anytime I want. So
yeah, but mine's at 3,000 and then it opens up.
So don't drive over 3,000. You can drive your car under 3,000 RPM and cruise up to the speed limit. That's fine. But if you want to put your foot in it like you do, if you want to be,
You know what's louder? A Harley.
Yeah.
Harleys are way louder than any car and they get away with it.
From factory
So
Yeah.
your question about bikes and noise, and yeah, Harleys are way worse. So that's a bike.
But a Harley is worse.
Maddie's
Oh,
asked,
insane.
what does it keep left
Yes.
actually mean?
All right. So keep left and less overtaking. So the road rule in Queensland and most of Australia is, I think in New South Wales it's still 80 k's an hour, but in Queensland, 90 kilometres an hour or over 90, you're supposed to keep left and less overtaking. Now, if it's dual lane carriageway, that's easy. You stay in the left lane. But if it's 3 lanes or 4 lanes, like on the M1 going down the Gold Coast, the slowest lane, you have a look. When you're driving, the slowest lane that's moving is now the second lane, not the left lane, because people are just so lazy. They want to sit in the left lane because people are coming on ramps, going off ramps from the left lane. People just want to stick in the second lane.
We saw that the other day with trucks.
Yeah, absolutely. Trucks are doing it. And down now on the way down the Gold Coast, trucks are only allowed to use the left 2 lanes. They can't use the right 2 lanes. Yeah. And why? Because trucks were, like at some stage, trucks had 4 lanes blocked off to other traffic. And then this comes back to another point. What's the speed limit? Is it 100 kilometers an hour on the highway on your Speedo or on your GPS? Because half the people out there are using their Speedos and the other half are using GPS.
Well,
and there's a big difference. There can be up to 10, 12 kilometers an hour difference between those two.
Most cars coming out, I used to build the police cars.
Yep.
Where our cars were 5 kilometers out.
Yep.
From factory.
Yep.
100's not 100. It's
95. Yeah.
So we have Ballingers. We actually test them
Yep.
and a digital speedo.
Yep.
So what we were told from the police that came in, that they sit behind you, and if their Ballingers sitting over the 100, and they're sitting on you and they're not gaining on you, they're going to get you.
Yeah. But here's the thing: we're don't worry about the cops at the moment. We're just cruising along the highway, and there's someone in the right-hand lane sitting on 100 k's an hour on their Speedo, right? And they think anyone who's going faster than me speeding, right? But then I'm sitting on my GPS, and I'm doing 100, and I'm catching them at like 7, 8, 9, 10 kilometers an hour. All right, so I understand that, and I know. But that person shouldn't be sitting in the right-hand lane anyway, right? Yeah. Because it's keep left and less overtaking. But there are so many people doing it. It's not just Queensland. It's everywhere. And if it's in America or somewhere where they're driving
Molly's from America, and she says, I'm from America, so I often keep right, and I think that's okay when the streets are quiet. Open for comments.
We're talking about
Australia
on the motorways over 90 kilometers an hour. That is where it is keep left and less overtaking. So if there's no other cars on the road, and you're just sitting in the right-hand lane, you're breaking the law. It's that simple. You're breaking the law.
Being American as well, I've heard a lot over there that you can actually get done for going under the speed limit.
You can get done for doing under the speed limit here in Queensland and Australia as well. No, but the thing is, it has to be abnormally slow. Like the road rule says, it has to be dangerously slow. So what's dangerously slow? Because I would think 80 kilometers an hour in a 100 zone would be dangerously slow.
How about 60 going on an on-ramp on a highway? Is that dangerously slow? Is that something we can touch on too?
That's one of my other points. So let's just come back to driving slow in the right-hand lane. It is keep left and less overtaking. So my question is, if it's 3 or 4 lanes and you're sitting in the middle lane, is that keeping left?
No.
Because it's keeping left of the right lane, but if I can overtake you in the left lane, well then how are you keeping left? Does that make sense? But I want to know what the rule is, because I've even talked to police officers lately, and they don't even know if sitting in the middle lane is actually keeping left, because the Queensland road rules say just when it says keep left overtaking, it says you must not be driving in the right-hand lane.
I'd say
so. There you go.
I'd say that they're wrong, because as in sitting in that middle lane, you're still not keeping left. There's still another lane.
I know.
You can keep left.
That's right.
So,
but I have so on this point, I have
you should never
thought about this for a while. So most of our roads now have variable speed limits, right?
Yeah.
They've got these signposts up with these digital speed limits that change when there's accidents. They change if it's inclement weather or whatever, right? So my thing is, are our cars designed to drive at 110, 120, 130? Yeah. Are our major motorways, the M1, the Bruce Highway, and that, are they good enough to be able to drive at 110, 120, 130?
Oh, definitely.
Okay. So, but if everyone's driving at 100 kilometers an hour and there's 3 lanes or 4 lanes, how are people overtaking each other if they're all sitting on the same speed limit?
Because they're speeding.
Okay. So here's the thing. If the left-hand lane was made to be 100, the second lane, 110, the third lane 120, and then a subsequent fourth lane like on the M1, another 120 as well. Then you've actually got the ability to actually overtake. And if you want to sit in the right hand lane and do 120, sit in the right lane and do 120. If you want to sit on 110, sit in the middle lane and do 110. If you want to do 100, if you're a little bit, frightened of doing too much over the speed, like over 100 k's an hour, sit in the left-hand lane. That way, when people are coming on and off the ramps, they're doing that 100 k's an hour. They're not doing 120 or So that way, then you can literally pull into the middle lane, overtake cars in the left lane. You can overtake cars in the middle lane that are doing 110 by doing 120.
Kathy knows a shit driver who should not be on the road. Kathy says she will not go in the car with her. She needs glasses but won't wear them and constantly talks and looks at her passenger whilst talking. Scary.
That's scary.
Kathy, name and shame this woman for us so
Please.
none of us hop in the car with her.
No, don't do that.
No, I don't think you need to do that. But I think like Kathy, I totally agree. There's a couple of people that I refuse to get back in the car with. When I go, and my grandmother still drives. She drives. She's 85. She drives, but she's a very cautious driver. And another issue, over cautious drivers. So she's the one driving she says, I'm allowed to do 90 in 100 zone because the speed limit is 90. So I'm allowed to do up to 100, but I'm allowed to do 90. So I'm just going to do 90. But her 90 is like really, I've put my GPS in the car when she's driving at 90 and it's 82 kilometers an hour on the highway. So guess what? Every time I go visit my grandmother and we go somewhere now, I drive.
What's more accurate though, the speedo or the GPS?
GPS always.
GPS,
and the reason for that is,
definitely.
okay, what's the difference between a brand new tire, which you just got two of because you got a flat tire on the way here today. Brand new tire, when the tire wears down, it puts your speedo out 3-4 k's an hour. Yeah. So when you've got brand new tires, you might be 96 kilometers an hour when you're reading 100 on the speedo. But by the time your tires need replacing, your speedo is reading 100. Your car's actually doing 90 kilometers an hour. And that's a fact. And that's something a lot of people overlook too. So, but GPS, it doesn't matter how worn your tires are or if you go and change your mag wheels, because people will change their mag wheels and put different size tires on it, and it throws their speedos out. But the GPS is going to stay the same. Doesn't matter what size wheels and tires or what car you're in.
You can get that changed, but then there's that cost.
Yeah, you can, but it's expensive. So anyway, my thing is, I would love to see a trial in Queensland on the M1 and the Bruce Highway heading north, heading south, with variable speed when it's not peak hour or heavy traffic. 100 k's an hour in the left lane, 110 in the second lane. So if it's only 2 lanes at that time, you got a 100 lane and a 110 lane. North of the Bruce Highway, it's 110. Then you can have 110 in the left lane and 120 in the second lane.
Sarge, I'm just going to cut you off. I've had a user.
That's what bad drivers do. Cut me off.
I've had a Facebook comment saying, I want to know what the other boys think.
Of course, I'm talking too much, right? Yeah, right. Ziggy, what do you think of this variable speed? What do you think? Would you like to have 110, 120 on the motorways?
I think the issue is there's no driver training, and there hasn't been for I don't know how long. So if people are scared to get onto a highway, like I said before, you'll be going to go on it, enter that highway at 100 or 95. Don't enter it at 60 or 80 Ks and then back it further back.
Yeah, people don't understand.
No, they don't. So if you're going to raise the speed limits on a highway to 120 in one lane, people are going to lose their shit. They won't be able to do it. There'll be the certain few people that will be able to do it and be comfortable, but who's comfortable doing 130?
I love doing 130.
Yeah, but you're comfortable, and Cody, I'm comfortable doing it. I've got no problems.
Don't sit in that lane if you're not comfortable doing 120.
But going past someone in 110 or 120 and you're doing 130.
Here's the thing. If you're on a country road and it's dual lane.
That's different now because country road people drive differently in country roads. So if you go from Queensland New South, people actually are more observant in the country roads and driving. Okay,
but here's the thing. But plenty of people, city people, go out and drive a country road, and you're doing 100 k's an hour on this two-way road.
Yep.
And the oncoming car, which passes you at 1 or 2 meters away from you, is doing 100 k's an hour too. Your closing speed is 200 kilometers an hour, but we're doing that fine. So you're saying you can't overtake another car doing like 130, like that? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but how many people actually from the city go out in the country?
Heaps.
But hang on. We noticed that when we drove down like mid last year, we did 5,000 k's in New South Wales and back. We did it twice. So what you see is there's many people that are confident in overtaking trucks, buses, and other people can't, and it backs traffic up.
Okay, so that comes back to driver training and experience.
Yeah, but that's from people coming from the city and going into the actual, out of suburb areas and going through Toowoomba into New South Wales.
I definitely agree with the training. I've got a few friends that come from European
Yep.
countries. Their training is so different.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
I've passed on. I had him in the car. I've passed on left, and he's like freaking out, going, "What are you doing?
Yep.
That's illegal."
Yep.
And I'm like, "No, it's not."
Yep. That's legal in
It's
Queensland.
legal.
No matter what,
Yeah.
you're allowed to pass on
Yeah,
the left. Yeah,
I can
absolutely. It
pass
says
on
it
the
in the
left.
road rules. Yeah.
But he's like, "That's just crazy. I would never do that. I would
Yep.
never pass on the left." And I think as well, I love the variable speeds and
Yep.
stuff. I think it should be more though. I think that
Our roads aren't good enough for
Of
more,
course,
mate.
you
I
think
know,
it'd be
I
more.
know, our roads
But
are
we've got to
definitely
start
not.
somewhere.
I know our roads are definitely
Can
not,
can
but-
I interject here? So, all of you guys, what are your thoughts on the autobahns?
Oh, I
Okay.
love it. I
Have
wanna
you been
go.
there?
No, I want to go. And I
So you're from Austria?
I am. I've looked at it, but I've never been.
Right. Okay. So the three of us.
Can I throw it in,
No,
right?
I've been there.
Because they have some of the safest driving
They do.
records.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was
So,
about to say
so
that.
you know what?
Yeah,
This
definitely.
bullshit narrative of 100 that's like safe or whatever have you.
No.
And I think that by giving restrictions,
Yeah.
causes
More issues.
100%.
Because you're thinking, you got to think more. You've got restrictions. You got to think more. Oh, I need to stay at 100.
Yeah.
I'm
Do you know
gonna
what?
get
Do you
done.
know
I'm
when
gonna get
I'll
done.
tell you this? Driving the Autobahn, I was driving late at night as well. And so if you're going to do around 100, okay, it's opposite because you're driving on the opposite side of the road, same you would in America. Thank you, Molly. And so if you want to sit around 100 Ks an hour, sit in the left lane. If you're doing about 140, 150, 160, you're sitting in the middle lane. Okay. And if you want to sit 180, 200, 250 Ks an hour,
Supercars.
you're in the right-hand lane and you just stay in that lane.
Yeah.
I was legally allowed to do 190 Ks an hour in my hire car. So when I was doing 190, I was in the right lane, overtaking cars sitting on 150 in the middle lane. That was cool. If there was no cars, I would pull back into the middle lane because I knew there'd be cars like Porsches and big AMGs and Beamers doing more than 200. So I'd pull out, overtake, pull back into the middle and stay in the middle lane. And then every time like his Porsche would come past or a Lambo or something doing like 220, 230, you got to think that closing, it seems a bit like they're going fast. But the thing is, the closing speed between my 160 and their 220 is only 60 Ks an hour.
Yeah.
That's not that bad. And you see them coming and you pass. The road etiquette over there is amazing and it's awesome. And I wish that we could do it here. Absolutely. I think driver training is so massive because
Yes.
I can't tell. Okay, where do we hold our hands on the steering wheels now?
It's supposed to be 10 and 2, isn't
10
it?
and
But
2.
Okay. 10 and 2. Oh, hey. 10 and 2 is where we used to get trained to hold the steering wheel pre-airbag.
Yeah.
I have a
Yeah.
friend that lives down in Victoria. She was driving at 10 and 2 and got in an accident.
Bang.
And then when the airbag went off, she's now got a scar on her arm of the airbag impression of a Holden insignia on her arm. Nearly broke her arm.
how many people,
People
do
are
you see?
breaking arms. We've been taught or should be being taught, and race car drivers do it. Who drives cars better than anybody else?
Me.
Lousy. No. Race car drivers, because that's what they do. Have you seen where race car drivers hold their hands on the steering wheel?
Yeah, they don't handle them at
9
10
and
2.
3.
Yeah.
Ever since airbags have been brought in, people have been taught, and you look at steering wheels, the thumb grips on steering wheels are now at 9 and 3. I have looked at driver trainers with L-platers in the car, teaching their learner customers still at 10 and 2.
They yell at them too.
But 10 and 2 is wrong, and it's been wrong ever since airbags have come out. And why are our driving instructors still teaching it?
Can I also say that driving instructors should teach road courtesy?
100%. Yep.
It does my head in.
And that is driver etiquette.
Which
Courtesy
leads
comes
us
under driving
to
etiquette,
Leah, who has said, what's your biggest pet peeve?
My biggest, I've got one at the moment, and yeah, okay.
Let's go here first.
Yeah, go for it. Come on, Cody.
Slow drivers. Like
You're a speed demon.
yes, I know. I do like the speed.
Yep.
I like the speed for the sense of I want to stick at that speed limit, but I can't.
Yep. And so
Too many
it
idiots.
frustrates you.
Yeah, so I speed. I
So-
flog it around them.
Yep.
And
You're one of those guys.
I do. I am.
I can't say I'm not sometimes, but Ziggy, what's your biggest pet peeve in traffic?
Oh, there's heaps, really. I don't know.
But go for one. One that really gets under your skin.
I guess if you're going to cut someone off, do the right thing. Hold your hand up. Sorry, mate.
Oh, so
You
if
know-
you accidentally
Yeah,
cut
if you
somebody
cut
off,
someone off, oh,
just
sweet.
a simple wave to say sorry.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I think that
definitely.
makes everything just de-escalate.
Well, that's the
Cool,
driver
man, no
etiquette
worries.
and the courtesy, or even just waving. No, not that wave.
I
boss.
do. I wave every.
I'm off camera.
Yes.
But it's so easy. And if you can do the motions right, it's so easy to do this. If it's easy to do this,
It's easy to do that.
it's easy to do that.
Yeah, thank
Just
you.
say sorry.
I
Yeah.
do it. I
Sorry,
do
mate.
it every single time.
How hard is
I
it
pass.
if somebody goes out of their way to let you in traffic to give them a wave? I can't tell. It's probably 20%. 20% of road users, commuters, drivers will make a gap. Like you'll be in peak hour traffic. You'll see a car on the side trying to get in. Everybody else is just in their bubble trying to get where they want to go as quickly as they can. So what I'll do is I'll pull back a little bit and create a space. And then I will try and wave that person in. Half the time, that person will come in. Awesome. Other half the time, they're on their phone or they're not paying attention.
But,
and so I'm beeping at them or whatever, trying to get them to come in. They won't come in.
Have you ever gotten angry? So I've been at like a turning, like where I've got to turn right across traffic.
Yes.
And this guy who was coming up and he flashed his lights to be like, you know,
Go
you
across.
can- you
Yeah.
can go across. And I didn't go across. And then he got angry at me.
Yes.
And I was like, why? Like, why?
Because he
like-
went out of his way to let you know that you could go. So why didn't you go?
Yeah, but you don't know if the car's going to pull out behind him really quickly. And you're
I know what
you know.
you're saying. Absolutely.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I know why you didn't go.
Why didn't you go, Nat?
I didn't go because it's a very busy road. And I was
Yes,
just like,
okay.
even though you're slowing down doesn't
Yes.
mean, because it's two
Two
lanes.
lanes, yeah.
Even though you're slowing down doesn't mean everyone else will. I'll just wait until there's a clear
Look,
turn.
absolutely.
And he was just
Absolutely.
like, like you go.
He
and
could
I
have
was like,
seen
why are
something that
getting
you didn't see, though.
mad?
He could have seen that other people were slowing down.
He
as
could have,
well.
or he could have just been like, this girl's a really safe driver. There's no need to get angry at her. She's just waiting. She's not. I wasn't mad at him.
You know what?
just
It was
had
I
attitude.
probably
wasn't
me.
I wasn't mad at anyone. I
It
was
could
just
have
like,
been
you know
me,
what,
Nat.
I'll just wait
Could
for
have been
it. It's
before we met.
fine.
But going back to that, you
Yeah.
giving a gap. Let's just say that's a good day. You've done that.
Yeah.
Would you do that every day? If you're pissed off,
Can I tell you
If you're
my
pissed
theory
off.
is I pay it forward. So if I go out and the first gap that I make for someone or me going out of my way for someone else to let them in traffic, if they come in and they wave, I'll then do it again for the next person. Do it again. If they don't wave or if they don't see me, whatever, and it doesn't happen, or if it was like Nat and they go through, no, I'm not going. Then that's it. That was that one chance for the day, and that's it for me. Now I'm just going to just drive because sometimes it's unexpected. This guy, but that's true, right?
Well, Molly says, I find a quick wave allows me to get away with near murder.
There we go.
Exactly.
And
Thank
why?
you,
There we
Molly.
go. Thank you.
Oh.
All right. So then, I had something in my head. Okay. So can I do my pet peeve quickly?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks.
What's yours, mate? Come on. Tell us.
Quickly. When there's a red arrow and it's green straight and then the red arrow disappears,
yes,
you are to move into the intersection and then take the turn when it's safe to do so.
Yeah, halfway into the
And
intersection.
there's Roadie Road and Gympie Road. I do it all the time, and my friends think, and this is illegal, and I know that, and thank you. But what will happen is half the time the red arrow disappears. So there's no green arrow. It's just disappears. The cars don't move. They don't move out into the intersection. And at this intersection, you could fit 3 cars out there.
Yeah.
You could get 3 more cars around that intersection. And during peak hour, every 3 more cars per traffic change is going to help free up the traffic system, right? But they don't go. So what I do is I wait and make sure there's nothing coming straight. I will literally pull out, go around them, and then go into the intersection in front of them. And then when it's safe to do it, I'll make that turn. And half the time, it's when the light is changing from orange to red, which you're allowed to
That's
do
a
it.
shit.
Yeah,
mate.
look, you know what?
Rebel.
You know what? It is illegal, but why should someone who doesn't know the road rules stop me from getting where I need to go?
Oh,
But you just broke
Because
the
they
road
don't know.
rules
100%.
to get to where you want to go.
I felt the need to break a traffic rule because somebody in front of me was breaking a rule. I'm not any better than they are.
Nah.
Okay.
I think you'd get done for more.
Yeah.
Probably.
But that intersection, there's actually a red light camera. So a lot of people are scared
You did
of
mention
going
this
through.
before.
I did tell you this
But
before.
the red
But
light
when it's
doesn't
green-
go off until 5 seconds after yellow. So as soon as
Let's
it
go
hits
and try it
red-
on the way home.
as soon
I'll
as-
drive your car. How's that?
All right.
Yeah.
All right,
As
look,
soon as
I'll
it
I've got a
the
whole
funny
list
point.
of
hits
stuff.
red,
How long have we
5
got, Nat?
seconds.
Okay, so we got 1 minute to go.
Yeah.
All right. What we're actually doing today is we're actually going to go for an hour, aren't we, Nat? So what we're going to do is we're going to have a slight little recess. We're going to go to our sponsors. No real sponsors today. We're actually going to continue this conversation on the other side of a break. So we're going to hit the reset button. We're going to come back and we're going to continue this conversation. So those that have had enough of us for half an hour, they can go on their merry way.
Let's get
and
some more
enjoy
questions.
Friday afternoon traffic in
More
the middle
questions.
of Brisbane on
More
the way to the
questions.
Gold or Sunny Coast. But we're going to answer a lot more questions when we come back. So let's go for a quick break and we'll come back and we'll talk more idiot drivers like me.